Yeah, so we just thought we'd bring you, like Emery said, like a real life example to the classroom, rather than you trying to read out books. We're going to speak a lot about a word called dynamic. Do you know what dynamic means? If someone's dynamic, or if something's aerodynamic, what does it do?
Point at somebody.
Oh, that's fine.
Isn't aerodynamic means it's less resistant?
Yeah, brilliant. It's less resistance to change. So if a car, like a bus, is very square, that hits the air very hard, and it's hard for it to change and move through the air. A Ferrari is very aerodynamic, it's very slick, and it moves through the air very fluidly and very easily. And that's exactly the same as our business. So because our business is very small, and you'll see the structure of it, and we'll talk about our whole story, you'll see that we've been able to be dynamic. And in the world of business, unless you're dynamic, then you can't be successful. So dynamic means that we've been changing all the time. The whole process that we do every single day is about changing and trying to improve our product. And when we stop trying to improve our products, then we lose the passion behind it, and then the customer journey takes a downward turn. So we're forever trying to evolve systems, redesign stuff, measure our success, which is down on the board here, and see whether areas are successful or not. And we're always very open to feedback all the time. We were speaking to the other group earlier on, we were saying that, you can always tell a successful businessman from a non-successful businessman, because successful guys listen. The ones that talk at you all the time whenever you're having a chat to them, they're not learning anything. The successful guys are the ones who sit back and listen and let it all go in and learn as much as they can from somebody else. And that's what we try and do all the time, whether that's to our suppliers, whether our customers, whether it's our volunteers or our own staff. It's that continuous evolution of, can we do better, how can we remodel, how can we make this thing as good as it possibly can. So we're going to come back to that throughout the tour. This is what we're going to go through with you today, and you've got these on your handouts. So we're going to tell you a little about who we are and give you some context about what we're talking about to begin with. We'll show you a little video and give you the background as to how we ended up taking on the business and where we started from. And then we're going to tell you about how we set up the business to make sure we protected ourselves, because we took over the business from somebody else. So we're talking about liability and how we actually structured the business. Then we're going to talk about what the purpose and our aims are moving forward, because yes, every business tries to make money, but they're not just driven by making money. There must be an incentive behind that that's bigger than making money, and for us it's trying to inspire people to be active and make a difference in the community. And then we're going to talk about our size, where we fit into the kind of sectors, our size, how we structure ourselves, and then the key thing here is the people we work with and how we work with them, and then ultimately how do we take all that together to know whether it's successful and whether we're doing the right thing or not. So I'll hand you over to Chris. He's going to just tell you a little bit more about where we are and what we're doing.
So first of all, guys, who's heard of the New Forest Marathon? Yeah, what have you heard?
It's like it's in the forest. It's exactly running in the forest.
Yeah.
I've had a few activities and a few people going to it, but I don't really know much. So I've been there for that.
Yeah, so you've heard a little bit. And how did you hear about that?
I think I don't know. I heard it somewhere. I'm not too sure. But one of my friends was talking about it a while ago.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so New Forest Marathon, guys. This is an event that we took over in 2014. So before that, it was run for 31 years, I think, quite successfully. It was run as a community sort of project where volunteers run the event and all the money went back to charity. In 2014, the event failed due to a number of reasons. There was a marathon set up in Southampton. Anyone heard of that one? The APP half marathon? Yeah. And one in Bournemouth, and that basically, all the runners went to those two events. Okay, so the New Forest suffered. Okay, so in 2014 it didn't run, and me and Andy stepped in after looking for an appeal on their website to take over the event and to actually get it back up and running and remodel it and turn it into what you see today. Okay. So we've been through a process of actually looking at the old event. Why did it fail? It failed for a number of reasons. One, there was an aging committee who didn't really understand new methods of marketing, social media, and etc. They didn't really have a product that people wanted anymore. It was based in a town on the edge of the forest, so the actual product, the New Forest Marathon, wasn't actually in the New Forest, which is quite a big thing to try and sell. So when myself and Andy got together, we came in and we said, right, we need to move this event from where it was to the middle of the national park. Okay, that then makes it a lot easier to sell. So if you're trying to sell a product, if it's in a nice area and there's lots to do there, then it's an easy job for us. So we moved it to a place called Brockenhurst, which is where it's based now, to a showground that allows us to actually put on a whole event rather than just a marathon. We've now created a half marathon, a 10k, a 5k, a kids race, a woodland walk, and also a festival, music festival around the outside of the event as well. So that's how we've remodeled it and actually changed it into what you see in this magazine today. So part of that journey was to remodel the event, but in terms of the company, we set up a company called Ora Events to run that as a commercial enterprise, so a profit-making enterprise. But as part of the history of the marathon, we wanted to continue their charitable arm and their charitable ethics, so we set up a charity as well. So we run actually two organisations now. One is the charity, which feeds all our volunteers, which we'll get onto later on, and one is obviously a commercial company which runs the event.
Okay, so imagine you put yourself in our footsteps. There's an event that's been running for 30 years. We've gone in and we don't know what's happened over those 30 years. All we know that it's failed. So what do we need to do taking on that event to protect us from what could have happened in the past? Yeah.
You need to find out what went wrong so you can prevent it happening again.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. What else do we need to do? If you were to run an ice cream shop, for example, I don't know why I said that, but ice cream shop, and then I come and just buy it straight off you and carry on running it, somebody comes up to me next week and says, oh, I was food poisoned 2 weeks ago. And you're like, well, hang on, that wasn't me. Yeah, so you can see the vulnerability. Now you imagine you're dealing with, well, last week we had 12,500 people on site. All sorts of stuff can happen. And we didn't know the history of that marathon in terms of what was said to anybody else. We didn't know whether they had outstanding debts that they hadn't paid or hadn't shown in the accounts. We had no idea. So what we didn't want to do is take on this event and then through the door comes a £10,000 bill. So our biggest bill every year is about £20,000. That comes in, well, hang on a minute, we haven't even started trading yet. So what we had to do is make sure there was a definite close off from the last business and then we could start. But we had to do that in a way where we wanted to carry on the brand because the brand had 30 years of history. So we didn't want to, if we started and called it something else, then we're starting from complete scratch. So we ended up actually buying the rights to use the name for £1. So we bought the whole business basically for £1. That agreement was an agreement to do two things. One, it allowed us to use their name going forward, but the second one was an agreement that they would shut down the marathon in their name. We started Ora Events, and the New Forest Marathon is now a product of Ora Events. So the business running it was the New Forest Marathon, the business now running it is Ora Events, and the product of Ora Events is the New Forest Marathon. So we can't have any old claims come to us because they would be claiming against the New Forest Marathon. We're not the New Forest Marathon, we're Ora Events. Okay, but we run the New Forest Marathon. So it's a clever way of us having to break down that and put a wall and a barrier between. We have to protect us. That 50p each that we started off is now a turnover of about £250,000. So we've had to go on a journey to make that £1 grow and grow and grow and grow and grow into a turnover of £250,000. Now turnover is the amount of money that comes in and comes in throughout a year. It's not the amount of money that goes out. Okay, so we've had a hell of a journey. and obviously you can't just produce an event on nothing. So you have to buy stuff. So the cash flow is a big issue. Chris will talk about cash flow as we go forward. So in terms of our liability, that's how we protect our liability. Chris is going to talk to you about the type of company we are and why we're
Yeah, so so obviously we've taken over a different company. That gets more complicated for those reasons. So that's the easiest way to protect ourselves, to take forward all the good work but not be liable for people's mistakes in the past. So we then set up Ora Events. So Ora Events is a private limited company. That means basically all the liabilities are housed within the company. So say we went bust tomorrow, then we're not personally liable. We don't lose our houses, we don't lose all our belongings. It's all held within the company. So people would come in and ask for the money, and they would actually get paid out of the company. So it's the best way to set up a company without putting your neck on the line personally. Okay, and that's the most common way people do it. So in terms of the structure, Ora Events, we're a small company. So in terms of number of employees, it's me and Andy, 2 directors. We basically have a 50-50 share in the company. We've got a part-time person called Ian. He works with us Monday and Tuesday throughout the year. And then we get some extra help in during sort of August, September time to help support with social media, emails and the sort of admin side of things. So really it's quite a small back of the house team, okay, that put on a huge event. So what's the advantages of having a small staff team, do you think? Any ideas?
Like, so you've got a lot of staff, you have to keep paying them as well.
Yeah, so cost element, isn't it? So as a start-up company, you need to keep your costs low, which obviously staff is a huge one. So we'll talk a bit more about that later on, about upskilling ourselves so that we can do jobs to save money. Any other benefits of having a small staff?
Easier to make
Decisions, absolutely. Okay, so being 2 directors, we any ideas that come in, we get up on the board. If we have to discuss them, and then we can straight away we can implement them. Okay, so we can make that decision and make a difference straight away. If you work in a big organisation, you'll find that you may have a really good idea here, but you go up through the channels of management, and if they're not so interested upstairs, then you never get your decisions made. Okay, and it gets very frustrating. So.
And that goes back to that word dynamic again. If you can change quickly, then you can jump on opportunities. And if you can make opportunities, and something might happen in the world, like we had it was a snowy day, for example, in the winter. People love the New Forest, they love to see it different types of seasons. We were able to go out in the snow, film something, create it into a video. That video went out to 26,000 people, and we got about 100 sign-ups that day. Now, that's because there's 2 of us. And within us, we've got the skills to be able to do that. If it's a big organisation, they'd have to then consult a marketing department, they'd have to get a team together, they'd have to put a storyboard together, and it has to be approved. And that process could take up to 2 to 3 weeks or longer, and they're not as dynamic, so they can't pounce on those opportunities. And by that time, they've lost that opportunity. So sometimes being small, yes, you've got more work to do, but you can be much, much more dynamic and much more reactive to stuff.
Cool. So that covers the sort of the ownership of the company and how we set things up and the structure within it. Okay. We're moving on to purpose.
So purpose. If anyone of you looked on our website, so
I don't think they would have done.
Okay, on our website, is that easy to get up? Yeah. You'll see there's a number of aims. Every single business and council that exists will have different aims, objectives and purposes why they're there. But underpinning all of that will be a financial kind of commitment to success. This college, for example, its aims are to bring you quality of education and develop the breadth and depth of your personalities and your experiences and all sorts of other kind of wonderful things like that. But ultimately, if it didn't make money, you wouldn't be sat here. Okay, it has to make money because it has to pay the staff, has to pay the bills, and it has to save some money so that it can improve, you know, the chairs, the carpets, the computers, the sports hall, the pitches, the, you know, everything else. So these are our aims here. When we took on the marathon, we wanted to revitalise, raise the profile of the marathon. We totally rebranded it. We put in a new logo. We changed the colours. We changed the venue. We made it into a festival. So now there's camping. There's 2 stages. It happens over Saturday and Sunday. Has a big activities area, a chill out zone. So we wanted to inspire and move people to take part in physical activity, lower the level of inactivity, and improve the health of the community. And then a few other things here to try and help other organisations and businesses and respect the New Forest. None of that mentions money. But as a business, if we're not making money, then I don't eat. I don't pay my mortgage. Chris, that's the same. So ultimately, you have to make money. That's why that measurement of success, which we're going to talk about at the end, is so vitally important. Because if what you're doing is not successful, you're going to lose customers, or you're going to make less money, or what you're doing is going to cost you money because you're running an inefficient system. So if everything you do, you keep evaluating success, then it's going to end up you becoming a slicker product, basically, or a more financially viable product.
Also, you know, if you're financially in profit, guys, you've got a chance to reinvest and make your product better. And that's where a lot of people go wrong in business. They don't reinvest and make things better and better and continue to improve. So if you continue to improve, you then don't get to a stage where the guys who were running this in 2014 run out of steam and the people have taken over. Because if we stand still, somebody would be doing something bigger and better in Southampton or London or wherever you like. So you have to continue to evolve your product and continue to invest. So that's really important. But just to throw one back at you guys, what were the aims? Why is it good to have some aims as a company? What does it give us? Yeah.
Did you like a target to set yourself? So like, that we want to achieve?
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of structure, haven't we? We know what we're working towards. Everyone within the company, although there's only 2 or 3 of us, we all know what we're aiming for. So that's why we have them on the home page. It's not only for our customers, but also for us to continue to remind us, well, this is what we're doing it for, and that's what we set out to do. Is there someone else at the back? Cool. Okay. So I think that's really, really good, and all good companies will have a set of aims or a mission statement setting out what they want to do, so they can communicate with their customers. And we hope that over the last 4 years, we've ticked all those boxes along the way.
Cool. So talking about size, we've talked about the size being quite small. What's the disadvantage of us being small?
More workload on you, so that you've got more stuff to do.
Yeah. And when later on you'll start realising quite how big it is. And so, yes, there's definitely more workload. What else?
It's harder to take time off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And that makes, I'm a firm believer that sometimes you've got to step out to be able to step in and deliver. And sometimes if you're in the pictures too long, you're knackered and your head's full and you can't perform. So sometimes you've got to take that time out to be able to reset yourself, refresh yourself, and then when you come back in, you smash it. And so, but you can't do that if you don't have time. So that's a really, really good point, and it's a good point for you guys. And you guys know yourselves when you're trying to revise, sometimes you go away, you have an hour off, you come back and you go again. It's the same with anything when you're doing an assignment or whatever, you need breaks, that's how the world works. So it's no different when you're in a business. So we both do a lot of physical activity. I know that I'm a lot better off of being in the sea. That's who I am. So we try and embrace that. We try and shape our hours around that. So if there's a good swell coming, I'm a surfer, windsurfer, the conditions are right, we'll work earlier or we'll work later. And I'll say, right, this afternoon I'm going for a windsurf, I'll work again in the evening. So we shape it around, and that's one of the advantages of being a small team and being the boss. And so it's you know, we can do that same with Chris. Chris has just had a baby, so we need to take some time to do that. We can do it, and that's one of the advantages of having a small business. So one of the disadvantages is that you can't do everything yourself. So when you look at the event in a minute, you'll see that we've got big stages, we need sound men, we need guys that, you know, based around power and electricity, we need designers, you know, putting that magazine together, we need writers, we need accountants, we need social media specialists, we need, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And if we look at our jobs any day, one moment we could be driving a telehandler, putting the things together, which is a big kind of GB training thing. The next moment we're sat doing accounts, the next moment we're designing something to go out on digital platforms, the next moment we're designing something to go out an event platform, so more like a magazine like this. You know, then it changes and we're dealing with a complaint, then we're writing emails, and you know, and it goes round and round and round. So one thing we've taken our time to do is what we call upskilling ourselves. So Chris is going to talk about what upskilling means and some examples of how we've done that.
So again, get back to the financial stuff, guys. If we were to be a success, we had to obviously save money. And the easiest way to save money when you're a small team is to actually learn how to do things yourself. Now, when you go out and you're looking for somebody to do something for you, a lot of people come forward and say, I'm an expert in marketing or I'm an expert in this and that. But there's no reason why you can't be an expert in it as well if you just take the time to go and learn the process and upskill yourself. Okay, and this is what we found quite a lot, especially with web stuff. Neither me or Andy are sort of web savvy as it were. Back when we were sat in your seat in 1994, okay, there was no World Wide Web, there's no mobile phones, okay, so it was all very different. But that's not to say that we can't then learn how to do it to save ourselves money. Okay, and that's a really important thing. So never let anyone tell you that they're an expert in something and let them blind you by, you know, with big words and everything else. You can always go out and find out how to do it, and probably for a lot cheaper.
The advantage of that is when you build something, when we were on site, and I said to one of the volunteers on site, I'm looking for this sign, and it's got this on it, and it's got this on it. And he said, how on earth, in this massive site with 12,000 people, we've got 600 volunteers, do you know where every sign is? I said, well, if you build something, you know how it works. And that's the same with our website, that's the same with social media, that's the same with our accounts, that's the same with you know, how we work together. If you put it together yourself, not only can you do all the things, but you understand why they're done. So the beauty of what we had, we started with the project, which we designed from scratch. So there's nothing at all we've ever done that hasn't happened for a reason. And that's happened for a reason, mainly because we wanted to improve for customers or whatever else. But we've also done probably 90% of the stuff ourselves. So not only have we done things for a reason, we understand why they're done and how they're done. And if we'd had a team of 20 people, then, you know, we'd go, oh, well, yeah, John did that, but where did John left last year? So no, we're a little bit lost. And that's the disadvantage when you get a big team. Sometimes you lose that cohesiveness, that kind of that ability to stick and work together, because so many people are doing different things.
So we've given you a bit of an overview of the event, guys, but what we'll do is we'll show you a video, just so you get a real idea of what we're talking about. Often when we go out and we talk about the New Forest Marathon, people think it's just a little run in the forest, a couple of people turning up, but you'll see the scale of it is a lot bigger than maybe what you think. And then we're going to obviously touch on those other areas when we've seen the video.
excellent first marathon, great fun, yeah, really good. It was so beautiful. Definitely.
Everybody do. You want to recommend people go and do this because there's no food.
Brilliant. Really
it's
nice.
amazing things about these things. It's a great part of the world.
Start to see the size and the scope. I mean, that was last year's video. This year we had over 12,000 on the site, so it was even bigger this year. But what we're going to try and go through now, guys, we're going to go through some the size and the scope of the event, but also stakeholders. Now, does anyone know what a stakeholder is? Does that mean anything to you?
Isn't a stakeholder someone, so an internal stakeholder is someone inside the company like managers and employees, whereas an external is like the customers and people who are like.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so you've got internal and external stakeholders. So in a small company, internally, we've not got many stakeholders, myself, Andy and the other staff. Okay, but externally, we've got loads and loads of stakeholders. Okay, so they can be sponsors, they can be partners, they can be suppliers. So whether it's whether it's the t-shirts or the toilets or whatever we've got on site. So what we do is we watch the video again, okay, and we just want you to note down a few of the stakeholders that you might see during that video. So just to give you an example, if we come back to that bridge shot, okay. So if you just look at that shot as an example, you can see a sponsor's name. So every sponsor, okay, and we've got probably about 45 different sponsors. Every supplier, so how did that bridge get built? Barriers, how do they get built? Flags, all of these things all need designing, ordering, supplying. They're all stakeholders of our business or this part of the event. So maybe go through the video again, note down some ideas, okay, and then we'll go around and see what stakeholders you can see within the event.
And just a really great crowd of people, everyone's really positive, yeah, brilliant. Excellent first marathon, great fun, yeah, really good.
So, what have we got?
What did you see on there, guys? I mean, there's thousands of things. We're starting to go through them all, but okay.
The volunteers, the army people that are handing out the...
Yeah, so the voluntary groups, we're going to get more onto that in a minute, but they're a huge part of the event, okay? Remember we said we set up a charity, but also a company, okay? So that's a huge part of volunteers. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So the bands, so we had 13 bands this year play. So if you think 13 bands and what they need, okay, that's a big part of things.
Security.
Security, yeah. So if you look at that site, you'll be amazed. We've got 70 traders all bringing shops and kit on site. So you need, there's a lot of kit. I'd probably say there's probably £500,000 worth of kit sat in that field overnight. So security is a big thing. Yeah.
The crowd that's watching that happen.
Yeah. So the crowd are our customers. Okay. So they're a huge stakeholder, aren't they? Okay. Without them, there is no event. Okay.
The workers?
The workers, as in the
people that
yeah, the runners, yeah. So the runners, so the crowd and the runners, yeah. Excellent. Any more? Think wider. Think what you saw, yeah. The suppliers, yeah. So suppliers, we've probably got over 100 suppliers of different things. What did you see there? Just think that's a green field normally. Okay, green showground. Everything you see in that was built or bought in. So when you go to a festival, what do you see? You guys must have been to a festival. Anyone been to a festival? Yeah?
What is it like with gating?
Yeah, so the barriers.
So barriers.
Barriers. What else do you see at festivals that aren't normally very nice? Rubbish.
Toilets.
Toilets, yeah. So we had 107 toilets. Okay. So we need a toilet supplier, we need a rubbish supplier, staging, sound, yeah. Anything else?
The cameraman.
Cameraman, yeah. The drone man who's taking that shot, yeah.
The local community.
Local community, massive one, yeah. So the residents.
They're doing much better than the first group.
This is amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Keep it coming, guys.
Keep it going.
Sponsors.
Sponsors.
Like t-shirts.
T-shirts, yeah. And what else did you see around the necks?
Medals.
Medals, yeah. Medals, T-shirts. Anything else? Food stands, yeah. So we have traders, so we have people selling food, selling drink, alcohol. There's a bus there. You know, so we've got 70 traders. So 70 individual companies coming onto our site that need liaising with and actually booking up and delivering their product. So you start to see the scale of things. Yeah.
Signs. People that make the signs.
Signs, absolutely. Yeah. So I think we said this morning there's over 2,000 signs that make up all the routes. So we do a 5k, a 10k, a half and a full, and a kids race and a walk. So 2,000 signs go up around the forest. Now you imagine trying to just make that course and put it up before everybody comes along and runs on the day. That's a 2-day, literally 48-hour job for somebody. Where's the team? Yeah.
The locations you've got planned with
Yeah. So you've got the location and all the bookings in of that as well. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. So you can see the scale of things.
Who does that come under, the location? Is it New Park Manor? Do they own that bit of land, or?
Yeah, they own it. It's a charity. Actually, they own it as a charity.
Right.
It was given to the forest, so they can use it for events and charitable events.
Oh.
So that's how we can book it.
But the council need one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well done, that's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the councils hold all the permissions. Because of the scale of the project, it actually runs through a district council, but also smaller parish councils.
The medical team.
Medical team, excellent.
Oh, you're doing brilliantly.
Look at this.
Yeah.
different
Coming
leave.
out now.
As a medical team, we can't run an event without a doctor. We have 24 paramedics, we have cycle responders, ambulances, helipads. Yeah, so all this needs to be thought of. Any others?
With the fire department, like
Fire, yeah, they're part of the council in what's called the SAG group. They're like the safety advisory group, all come together, police, ambulance, fire. So if we have an emergency in the middle of the marathon and everyone's running down and we need to get a blue light down there, and that's all taken into consideration.
With the brand,
With the
the brand.
brand as a stakeholder,
Brand.
really.
No.
Good get.
You've already got that. Oh, band.
Oh, band, yeah.
Oh, the bands. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just talking about the bands. If we broke it down to the other groups. So if you imagine you've got a site of 12,000 or 12,500 people on site, and you've got a band that needs to play at 12 o'clock or something, they've got to get in somehow. So they need to be written to, emailed to, corresponded to. We need to know who they are, what they're doing. So before the event happens, they're all in the magazine, so we get a script written on those there. We do social media posts, we do email posts, we have links through to their albums, all that kind of stuff happens beforehand. Then they have to get to the venue. When they get to the venue, they have to get through security. They then have to be escorted to the back of the site and then escorted to the back of the stage. Someone's got to build the stage. We have a team in a week before to build the stage. We need to make sure the band has got everything they need in terms of microphones, leads, all that kind of equipment. We then need a sound man, so we have PA equipment with all of the speakers and that kind of stuff. We've got to then power that stage so that the leads can't go above ground because of the health and safety, so that goes below ground. So we dig in, all sorts of stuff, we put mats down, and then someone's got to coordinate it, and then they've got to perform. So just the bands on their own, and that's just an add-on with our event, takes a massive amount of coordination, but also a massive amount of expense and manpower on the day to actually do it. So you can see without those stakeholders, I mean, we can't do that because we're on the day we're absolutely manic busy doing all the stuff, dealing with the media, the TV, the radio, but also coordinating the whole event. So we have to rely on our partners. So in any business you find it takes you a while, you find good people and bad people, and people that fit your business and people that don't. And so we're really, really fortunate to come across a company called Southern Events, and they look after that element of it. And they know the event, and we meet there beforehand, we plan it all out, and we have to trust that they'll do their job. And that's part of running a business, is at some point you have to trust other people to do or to put on something on your behalf, especially if they're partners of yours. So that gives you an idea of just taking one element, the amount of planning. If you times that across the whole rest of this, then you can start seeing that actually for 2 people, that's a hell of a challenge throughout the year. So, and as well as the other ones you looked at here, I put them in green. These are the kind of the key bodies around the forest, because ultimately we can't run the New Forest Marathon without what? The New Forest. Okay, so it's what makes it so special. It's our venue, and it's what our title and our whole brand is built upon. We take the New Forest away, and we got rubbish. So if we did that in Southampton, what's Southampton got lots of? Yeah, lots of roads. So building a route around Southampton is relatively easy, because if you can't go up to one road, you just go down another road. And so in the New Forest, obviously there's a lot less roads. And if we shut a road, then sometimes that can cut off a community, or it can cut off a business. And we did, in our first year, we got that wrong. We shut down roads and we stopped the dentists being able to get out, we stopped people being able to get to a church, we stopped people being able to get to the high street. We just had no idea that by shutting a single road, was going to have such a bad consequence. But we met with the people afterwards, we started to try and understand why, and then we redesigned the route to make sure that it was a lot better. And that's an example of how you can see where we've taken on board feedback and changed. And now we have a route where actually we keep businesses open. So businesses, for the New Forest as a whole, New Forest District Council, the local district councils, the safety advisory group, the business association are key people. Who else is there in the forest? Yeah, definitely. Who looks after the animals?
The farmers.
Yeah, so we've got farmers, animals. Who looks after the forest itself?
Anyone know? So it's a body called the Forestry Commission, so they actually manage the forest. And then there's the National Park Authority, who actually, they manage the national park, but they're more sort of promotion of tourism and everything like that, trying to bring people into the forest. Forestry Commission manage the working forest, okay, so the cutting of the trees, the management of the animals. So what you can quickly see, guys, you've got quite a complicated number of bodies that to run this with all these stakeholders and their stakeholders as well, but you need all them to be in agreement and on the same page to get something like this off the ground. Okay? All with different agendas, different personalities, different thinking. So to get it off the ground, it's quite a feat.
Yeah, so whenever you set up a business, you need to know your business and your competitors and that kind of stuff and the environment you're going into. You also need to know the location and what makes up that location. Because if you get that bit wrong, then you're an unlimited business. So we actually won 2 awards last year in New Forest Business of the Year, and we won a Hampshire County Council Award for the way we work with the community. And that's because we've taken time to go out to all of these groups and understood what they're about and said, hang on, how can we work with you? And you'll find that in business, if you work with people, you get a hell of a lot further than if you're pig-headed and just all those in. Because then, that's just not a good way. So sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you don't always get where you want to get to. But it's having a slow, methodical approach and reviewing it all the time. So you can see all of these things obviously work in synergy with each other.
So if you look at all the stakeholders, guys, what's one thing we haven't looked at so far? So all this is going on, brilliant. Okay, on paper we've got all these suppliers coming in, t-shirts being made. What haven't we looked at? What makes the world go round a little bit? No? So what do we need to get all of these people coming to our field?
Advertising.
Yeah, but before that? Yeah, so all these other businesses. Meetings before that. So if I want 5,000 of these made, what do I need? So I need the money, don't I? Okay, so behind all of this, the financial element of this, okay, you've got to then, as a business, you've got to be able to manage your finances and manage your cash flow to be able to pay all of these different people at the right time to be able to get the event off the ground. Okay, that's really important. So within our company, we split our roles, if you like, because it's quite small. We split things into different roles of what we feel our strengths are. Okay, in terms of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So Andy's very much website. He's does all our design stuff, does a lot of the logistics with the traders and everything else, whereas I'm more sort of social media, finance and that sort of thing. So we try and split the jobs in half. And then for the weaker areas, like we said earlier, we try and upskill, so we learn how to do things rather than spending money on somebody coming in and designing a flag for us and charging us £300. We design it internally, save £300 and then buy more flags. Okay, so it's just a little bit smarter way of doing things. So looping back to what we said at the beginning, never think that you can't do it. Okay, so if you get into business later on, make sure that you try and get as many skills and do it that way, because you'll be more successful. Okay, so that's our roles within the company. That's how we split things up. So any questions so far, guys? Everyone understands stakeholders? They can see internally and externally. Yeah. You can see how the finance works behind it.
Cool. So the next thing is, how do we know that what we're doing is right? That's the same with any business. How do you know you're on the right path? So how do we know, or how do we measure whether we're being successful or not? Yeah.
The aims that you've written on the website.
Yeah.
If you do one of them, you just tick it past and then you go on to the next.
So, but with a business, it's not like an assignment where you go, well, I've done that, tick.
As in you look back over.
Yeah, you've got to be constantly ticking it. So you can't just do it 1 month and not the next. You've got to keep going on. Yeah. What else? How else do we measure success? Yeah.
Do you like the profit you're making?
Yeah, we look at the profit, definitely, because if we're not making money, then definitely it might be a successful event in terms of people loving the event, but if we're not making money, then it's not a sustainable picture. Yeah.
The turnout of the event.
Yeah, definitely. Numbers and sign-ups. So we have when people sign up to the event, we get a report. We can look at it any hour of any day. And we can see exactly who's signed up, where they've signed up from, and how many per month and that kind of stuff. We can look at males versus females. We can look at age categories. We can look at all sorts. So we can then target and steer our marketing towards kind of the people that we haven't signed up. So last year we realised that there was a lot of people with birthdays between September and Christmas, and that was our lowest sign-up time. So we started focusing on those. We also realised that as a trend, we tend to get females signing up before males. So actually our marketing can be more directed towards girls in the first third of the year and more towards males in the last third of the year. So just following our trends and showing us what this following us. We noticed that we've got a big number of sign-ups from one particular road in Bournemouth. We can look down at the postcodes of everybody's addresses, and then we can go, hold on a minute, why are so many people signing up from this one road? Then we can identify who's on that road. It actually turned out to be a big business. So then we can approach that business and say, look, do you want to be a sponsor, or do you want a package deal or something like that? So there's things that we can do where we can measure the success to steer our next move. So how else do we measure success?
It's a real easy one, guys. It's prevalent nowadays and it wasn't in the past. So what do you... Probably everyone in this room has been on it today.
Social media.
Social media, yeah. So when we run an event, everybody's got an opinion on social media. You get all the feedback, positive and negative. So as a business, that's great. It's good if it's all positive and you can promote it. But the negative stuff we can then work on, and we actually live in the experience of the person or the customer going through your business. So it's a really powerful tool, not only to get feedback, but like Andy was saying with marketing and drilling down into who your customers are. Because if you can find that out, then that's the golden ticket. Yeah? You know who your customers are, then you just keep supplying your customers with what they want.
And this guy here, she said feedback as well. One form of feedback that people don't like to receive as well. Negative. Yeah, negative and complaints. So we had 12,500 people on site. How many complaints did we have this year? People are nuts, aren't they? They're a little bit strange, most people, the average person. So you'll find when you run a business or when you start, in the world, everybody's different. So you can do the same thing to every single person and everyone will see it in a slightly different way because of who they are. And there's nothing wrong with that, that's just how the human race works, that's just who we are. And some people do, well, it never surprises me the number of emails we get in with interesting views on stuff. So, but for us, we sometimes see a complaint as an opportunity to understand. So we had a complaint on Black Friday because we put a discount code out that said a big promotion for 24 hours, you can sign up for less money and slash a load of money off just for 24 hours. And we got an email complaining that it wasn't enough. We hadn't taken enough money from us off. And we were like, we can't take it any lower because it's the lowest it's been all year. But for us, that was an avenue to say, look, okay, so this guy obviously has this perception from somewhere, and if he's thinking that, then other people are probably thinking that too. So it's not going back to that complaint and going, hang on, what are you talking about, mate? Look, you didn't have to take any money off. It's going back to him and saying, right, let us understand this a little bit more. What were you expecting? Why were you expecting that? and see whether we can tailor something to embrace those kind of opportunities. So we had about 20 complaints this year, and so which is a lot less than we've had in the past. And so from that we can start to investigate, and already, even though we only got off site last Wednesday, we've already met up with one of our stakeholders, which is our security company, so 2 or 3 areas of the complaints were about the same thing. So we've immediately gone to the security company, and we're already working on a model to redevelop one area of the event that wasn't weak, but it was just an area that 3 people have said the same thing about. So we've gone, okay, well let's remodel it. So
how do you think that improves us as a company by taking that approach?
Trying to improve, so just taking it to heart.
Yeah, so you just continue improving the product. Yeah, so every time you had a complaint, if you went into a shop and you bought some shoes or something, you had a complaint and they dealt with it really well, what are you going to do? You're going to go again, you're going to tell your mate, oh, these guys looked after me, why don't you go? So marketing is done then by your customers. Yeah, so clever businesses look after their customers and they ensure that customer service is really good. Okay, and then you don't have to spend money on trying to get customers in the door, because you'll be telling all your friends that, okay, this is how they dealt with me, I like that, I'm going to go back there again. So it's a really, really simple way. So it's called continuous improvement. Okay.
Cool. How else can we measure success?
Good reviews.
Yeah, good reviews. One thing that we look at a lot. If you're running a hotel or a restaurant, how do you know? Cool. Yeah, stars, and we've got a 4.9 out of 5 at the moment on Facebook. It's good.
Do you look on, like, Google the name?
Yeah, so that's another area. Yeah, so we Google Analytics. So there's tools out there plugged into our website, so we can analyse exactly how effective our web marketing is, or if we put a social media campaign out, we can see whether it's produced an increase in traffic on our website.
Could you say out word of mouth?
Word of mouth.
So people tell other people.
What about the number of people that come back? Because we're amazed, from year 1 to year 2, only about 20% of people came back. Year 2 to year 3, it was more like 60%. This year it's more like 80%. So that shows us that we're remodelling the event and people are liking it and wanting to come back again. The first year, we planned the event in half the amount of time, and we're really honest, there's a lot of guesswork in year 1. We got a lot of things wrong. And we could see that only 20% of the people that came back again in that first year. They've now heard about all the improvements and they're coming back. But to be able to reshape your event as much as possible, now we're getting 80% return. It means the whole rest of the year is easier, because you don't have to work as hard to get your customers. About there. Is there any questions?
Have you got any questions,
Have we
guys?
covered everything on that sheet, do you think? Is there anything missing that you haven't written notes on? We can talk about that. Actually, does anybody know that one, the answer? So, one of the questions it says, what is the sector of the business? Is it primary, secondary, tertiary or quaternary? Does anybody actually know?
Would it be tertiary?
Why?
Because they're providing a service to the community.
What do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was so.
that's
So
good.
just put it tertiary, providing a service.
So any other questions, guys? So like Anne-Marie said, we try and bring your lesson to life a little bit rather than just looking at books and understand the business. It's actually having a real life business. We're in between things today. We've been working on our business and then following up to do this. So if there's any other questions, then yeah.
What was the purpose of the project to make profit?
Purpose of the business. Yeah, so that's one of the purposes. Obviously, is to deliver our aims. Profits, a measurement, or one measurement of it. Okay, but don't forget, in parallel, what we've also done is set up a charity. Okay, to take forward the ethics of the event as it was before we took over. Okay, so we set up a charity. The charity then creates money for all the community groups that come and help us out. So we have over 600 volunteers, okay, and a lot of them are made up of groups, and we then finance them with little grants to make them more active and more inspired throughout the year. So that's how that works. So it's not only a commercial enterprise, it's also a charity. So our measure of success with the charity is that we're getting lots of volunteers and they're getting active and getting lots of money in return.
You were saying earlier that you were a business studies student, and
yeah, so 23 years ago I was sat like you're sat now. Okay, and I'm sure you hear all these stories, but I was exactly the same. And we had a similar talk by somebody coming in, and that sort of inspired me to get into business, understand business, and then create my own business. I went through university not wanting to work for anyone else but myself. That way I was in control of your own destiny, really. You know, if you go and work for somebody else, you know, you're always, depends who they are. If they're really good, then it's great, but if they're not so good, then it's not such a great position. So, yeah, so believe that you can do it. Okay, it's coming from just where you're sat now.
And you studied business at degree?
Yeah, so I studied A-level business at college, and at degree level I did business and leisure management, which is where we sort of crossed over into this. Okay, and we didn't do this straight from university, did things a lot smaller, but really that set the scene to be able to do this 4 years ago. It takes a long time to get the experience and the confidence to do something on this scale. Obviously coming out of university, I don't think you're going to take on a project this big because you just wouldn't be experienced enough.
So the other thing we've not talked about is our dynamics with each other. So when we set out, we started with £1. We went 10 months with nothing, like absolutely nothing. So yeah, absolutely no way of paying anything to even drive anywhere, to eat food properly, all that stuff. We just threw it all into the business. So if you're at any point going into a business with somebody else, you can't just jump in with anybody. You've got to have the trust with each other and the agreement and understanding with each other of how that business is going to evolve. And ultimately, if I can't trust Chris with the business, then I can't trust that I'm going to eat properly. You know what I mean? And it's vice versa. So it's just something, a lot of people go into businesses with their brothers or sisters or whatever, or with friends, and it doesn't work because there's not that kind of common moral standing at the beginning. So we have a very open and honest way of working with each other, but I guess it's like any relationship. You've got to have trust there, otherwise it's just no point. And that's a real key thing to go in with. If you can't trust your business partner, don't go there, because it'll just end in tears. So so all of the finances of the business, Chris deals with. So I don't hardly tell, I'm aware of what's going on, but I trust Chris with all of that completely. So he does that, and it means he can get stuck into that and he can do that his way. And then there's other areas of the business that I take total ownership of, and that's just the way that we find it works. So rather than trying to do everything collectively, because then sometimes you can't own it, and there's some things in business where you really just need one head on it. So that's how we go in.
Were you surprised at how many people wanted to help when you started? Because I know that I was one. When I worked with these guys at Tottenham College, and when they told me, it was a bit secret at the beginning, but when they told me what they were thinking about doing, I was so excited for them, and I really wanted in. I wanted to come and join them. I wanted to do the same thing. So I'm waiting for them to earn a bit more money, and then I'll jump in. But so I really wanted to be involved, and I wanted to help. And so if you ever start up a business, don't forget you've got a lot of friends and family that might be the same, really willing to help you get started.
Also a positive offer that Ian, who works for us part-time, year one, he was the same as Anne-Marie. He volunteered to come and help us out. So he did it voluntary in year one. That's not full-time, he still had his job. But then by year two, we've then employed him because he understands the system, he's the right character, for the team, okay, and he's got a part-time job with us because of that voluntary service he's done. So sometimes for you guys, if you're looking to get your way into somewhere, rather than just going for an interview route, if you volunteer and actually get within what you're trying to get into, it's a lot better way forward.
I mean, they have got work experience, so I can't recommend that enough. Try to find somewhere that you would really like to work, because get your foot in the door, and if people get to know you and know what you can do, it really is an opportunity there.
Yeah,
the other thing is your next step after this is university. University will cost you thousands. So if you go down that university route, and a lot of people, so I'm an ex-teacher, and so I was really lucky, and from when I left school I was going back into schools and I was teaching all the way through to practice what I wanted to do. So that I knew when I went to university I was definitely doing what I wanted to do. A lot of other people went, I think I'm not a teacher. Go to university, do 3 or 4 years at university, and then realise they don't like teaching. I mean, there's no way in the world you go and buy a car without test driving it. So, you wouldn't go and spend 30, 40, 50,000 pounds on a car without sitting in it, would you? So, use work experience as an opportunity to go and test drive your future career, because you're just about to go and spend 30, 40, 50 grand to try and get there. So,
I would say 30, 40 years of your life to do what you want. So you can do what you want. Don't think that you've got to do just a job. Just create what you want. That's the golden message.
Yeah.
Create what you want. That's another quote.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Anybody got any other questions? Have a bit of a stretch. Thank you. Have a look through your notes. Make sure you've got everything down that you feel you have. Put your name on your notes. They are yours.
So we've got some T-shirts, guys. In the last group, we gave them out for the best questions, or the best people who answered the questions. I think what we'll do is we'll leave Anne-Marie with a couple of T-shirts from this year's event. Okay, so she can decide who's on the game, who to give them out later on.
This is an example where we work with a stakeholder. So we work with a few stakeholders. So going into just this thing here, we've got our logo. So we work with a design company to get our logo right. Our logo is all based on footprints. So where you see the footprints, that's different sizes for different events. But then we took on, well, we had a new sponsor this year, which was Garmin. Garmin backed us and we support the event. One thing we noticed that we see a lot of our branding in the summer. So you see a lot of people running in our t-shirts all through the summer. We hardly see anybody in the winter. So we said to Garmin that we really want to think of a way of getting people to wear our t-shirts more in the winter. So with Garmin's help, they were able to give us a little bit of money, and that's paid for reflective ink to be put into the footprints on the back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So now we've got the footprints on the back are actually made of reflective ink. So now it's not only encouraging people to wear them in the winter, it's keeping them safe in the winter as well. Garmin get a good kickback because lots of people see Garmin across their t-shirts. They get a good kickback as well because they're seeing the community being more active, and they're also seeing in a really positive light. We get a good kickback because we're getting more branding and lots of people running around with our t-shirts on, and everybody's happy with us. So just one example.
So we'll leave a few of those guys, so keep you on the toes. Anne-Marie's got some t-shirts.
Yeah, thank you. Can you give them a bit of a round of applause?